Okay, so tell me kind of what happened this evening.
Earlier this evening, our deputies got called out to a residence here on White House Fork Road in regard to a welfare concern. Individual who resides at the residence was threatening to commit suicide and was threatening to actually pour gasoline in the house and to set the house on fire. And we also had information that the subject could be possibly armed with a firearm. And so our deputies secured the area. They called out our SRT, our special response team. And since that time, our operators and negotiators that have been attempting to make contact with the individual, which we were not able to do. There was no phone inside. We weren't able to make any telephone communication with the individual. And throughout the evening, as we were trying to deal with the situation, at one point the individual did in fact set fire to the residence, and our operators and our medics from with our SRT team were able to eventually make contact with the individual and get him out of the residence safely, and he's been transported to the hospital to receive a mental health evaluation.
Gotcha. Was anyone else in danger in this whole situation this evening?
There was no one else present inside the residence with the individual that we were dealing with. The homes nearby, none of those folks were in any immediate danger. We had the road closed down so that no one could pass by. And our SRT team did a fantastic job tonight. We also had, given the threat that he may set fire to the house, we had Western Carteret and Emerald Isle Fire Department here staged, and just as soon as we were able to get him away from the residence, they moved in and attempted to put out the fire on the house.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Sorry about that. Throw you into all this.
No, that's fine.
I was in bed.
That was quick.
I know. I had a couple other questions, but they were in my ear. They were like,
Okay.
okay, so things I wanted to ask about. So no one else was involved in danger in any way. A lot of people responded. How long was the whole incident ongoing for? We started getting emails around 7:30.
Yeah, this started just, I think the initial call came out around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'd have to check the exact time. But from that time, our deputies were on scene and, like I said, securing the area to make sure that he wasn't able to flee the area. So we maintained the perimeter and waiting for our SRT team to arrive. We have trained negotiators and our operators on our SRT team in case they do have to make entry. They're specially trained to deal with these types of incidents beyond that just your normal patrol deputies and police officers are normally capable of responding with these barricaded situations like this. So once the SRT team arrived on scene, they began their operation and things culminated over a few hours. And here again, thankfully we were able to get him out alive and get him transported to the hospital to receive mental health evaluation and hopefully treatment and help.
Definitely. I want to make sure this still looks okay. I also wanted to ask, I saw some footage of the fire. It looked like a pretty big fire. Were any other homes around the area affected by that fire in any way?
No, there's some homes around the area, but they're not closely situated to the residences. There's a house to the south and a little bit of wood line in between, so the distance between those residences. But here again, that's one of the reasons that we had the fire apparatus in place. Given the threat to set fire, we certainly didn't want to have any other damage to any other property, and certainly the residence that the person was in. If in fact there had been a fire, we wanted to be able to move that fire equipment in just as quickly as we can to extinguish the fire, especially with the individual still inside, which is what occurred. Our SRT team's been responding to these calls for a number of years now, and this is the first time we've dealt with a situation where the person actually set fire to the residence while they were still inside, which that created an extreme challenge and stepped up what our operators had to do in order to try to physically make contact with this person and to get him out of the residence before he succumb to smoke inhalation.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask about, do you have any idea, it's probably still under investigation and stuff, on the motive for this whole incident?
Well, that's something that we'll have to look at, and like I say, it's called in as a welfare concern for a person who was threatening to commit suicide. And obviously, oftentimes we're dealing with mental health issues in that regard, and stressors in people's lives. So, we'll have to figure that out after the fact. But our main concern, when we get these types of calls, is to get on scene and try to remedy these types of situations as quickly as we can. And our primary concern is to make sure that there's no loss of life or anyone to become injured in any manner. And luckily tonight we were able to resolve this situation in just that manner. And here again, I always give all of our folks great credit. The firefighters who rolled in after we were able to get the individual out of the residence, they did a great job coming in and supporting us, being on scene, ready to go. And our SRT team and our negotiators and our medics on our SRT team, they just did a fantastic job this evening, and they saved this man's life.
And would you be able to release the individual's name?
Not at this point. Mental health issue, and when we transport people under involuntary commitment, we don't normally release those names. So there might be some criminal charges that may come out of the setting fire to the residence. My understanding is this person does not own the residence, is renting from another person. So there may possibly be some criminal charges that may arise out of it, but that's to be determined at a later date.
Gotcha. And also speculation, so I want to ask, also heard that maybe this person also has had some previous charges, or has previously been incarcerated. Is there anything you can speak to for that?
Well, I don't really want to go into that this evening.
You can't answer,
yeah.
You're totally fine.
Yeah.
I think that's the majority of my questions that I had. Is there anything else you'd like to add or touch on or talk about?
Well, just here again reiterating, and I already said, thanking the firefighters who came out to support us, and certainly all the members of our SRT team. And this is the News Times just did a story on our team about a week or two ago, and our team gets called out over the past several years. We get called out. We have an SRT call out about every month and a half, on average, over the years, and we have deputies and police officers and firefighters and paramedics that are part of our team. We have trained negotiators who are part of our team, and they just do a fantastic job coming together. These types of situations take a lot of resources, and there's a lot of moving parts. And all of our folks are very well trained. Most of them have been on our team for some time now, and unfortunately they get a lot of experience, because we do get these calls on a fairly routine basis. Everybody in the community doesn't really realize how many times we get called out, because oftentimes we are dealing with somebody having a mental health issue, and we don't do the same types of news releases and stories on those situations like we do when criminal activity occurs. But this team gets called out very often, and so I'm very proud of what all of our law enforcement agencies do, and also those other fire and rescue personnel who also support our team. Everybody works together. This isn't one agency. This is a multi-jurisdictional, multi-agency team, and so we have law enforcement and first responders from all around our county who support this team, because the mission is so important and so critical. And this is a team that comes in and attempts to save lives and protect lives.
Definitely. And then also, thought of a last minute question, since we're talking about the mental health teams and stuff like that. And I know you've done a lot to help with mental health in Carteret County. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, with this incident and be moving forward, also focusing and honing in more on mental health care in Carteret County?
Well, that's always a challenge with regard to trying to get people assistance. We hope that things like this never get to this point where someone takes the drastic means or measures of trying to harm themselves. So there are resources available for people if they need help. We have 2 different mobile crisis units, teams that respond in our community, and those phone numbers are available, and you can contact people can look up and get the phone numbers through Trillium, which is our local management entity, and you call their number, and they will link you to any number of different services, whether it's mental health related or substance use. So there are a lot of resources that are available to people. They just have to take advantage of those. Hopefully take advantage of them before it gets to the point where somebody gets to the position that they feel that they have to take a drastic step. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way, which is why we have our first responders who are in place, and teams such as this, such as our SRT team, to where we come in and unfortunately, when things do get to that type of situation, where we're able to come in and do our very best job that we can to try to resolve situations before anyone gets hurt. And I'm very proud of our team of what we've been able to do over the years. As I said, we've responded to many incidences where people have been barricaded and threatening to harm themselves or others, and the overwhelming majority of the time we're able to resolve these issues without anybody getting hurt, suffering any injuries whatsoever. And so that is a blessing every time we're able to do that.
Definitely. I keep saying my last question, but this is actually my last question. I know you said he exited the home and stuff and is going to get treatment. Did he have any burns or injuries? You said smoke inhalation wasn't really an issue.
Well, we were very concerned with that because once the fire was set, it took us a little while to make contact with him, and you know, once you set the fire, you can't just send everybody in because everybody's not equipped with that type of equipment. But tonight, two of our team members who are actually medics grabbed SCBAs, and they were able to grab those and get closer to the fire and actually make contact with the individual and pull him out of the residence. And so I'm very proud of what they were able to do. Here again, our team saved this individual's life tonight.
Definitely. And no injuries for the team at all either?
No one suffered any injuries.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yay. Thank you. Okay, yes. I think I should be all good.
Everything worked out well.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
All right.
Stressful evening for you.